Hanifa Abubakar was just 5 years old, bright-eyed, innocent, loved deeply by her parents. Like many children her age, she trusted the familiar faces around her school, her classmates, and even her teacher. But what no one could have ever imagined was that this trust, so innocent and natural in a child, would lead her straight into danger and ultimately cost her life. Hanifa Abubakar was born in 2016 in Kano State, Nigeria. She was the only child of her parents, Abubakar Abdulsalam and Murja Suleiman. Her father, Abubakar, was a hardworking man who ran a small business to provide for his family. Her mother, on the other hand, devoted her time to raising Hanifa at home. To them, she wasn't just their child. She was their pride, their joy, and their entire world. Like many children in northern Nigeria, Hanifa attended 2 schools. During the day, she was a pupil at Noble Kids Academy for her formal education. In the evenings, she went to Islamic classes, learning the Quran and building the values her parents held dear. She was known as a cheerful, polite little girl who loved to learn. Her parents dreamed of a bright future for her, one filled with education, opportunity, and a life far greater than their own. They trusted her school. They trusted her teacher. They believed Hanifa was safe, but what they didn't know was that this trust would soon be shattered into the most unimaginable way. Abdul Malik Tanko was not a stranger to Hanifa Abubakar or her parents. He was her teacher and the proprietor of Noble Kids Academy, the very school they trusted. In his community, Abdul Malik was once described as a man of vision. Neighbors and acquaintances said he was respectful, honest, and approachable. Parents believed he genuinely wanted the best for their children. But beneath this image of respectability, his life was crumbling. Abdul Malik was drowning in debts. His school was struggling. Salaries were unpaid, and the harsh realities of Nigeria's failing education system weighed heavily on him. Yet, here is the question we must ask. Did desperation alone turn him into a killer? Or was this greed hidden under the mask of struggle? Because let's be honest, if everyone decided to kill simply because they were in debt or facing hardship, none of us would be alive today. Life is hard, yes, but that's exactly why we as humans must have self-control. We can't let our struggles strip away our humanity and turn us into monsters. On December 4th, 2021, 5-year-old Hanifa Abubakar attended her evening Islamic class in Kano State. When it ended, her teacher and school proprietor, Abdul Malik Tanko, offered to take her home. She trusted him. After all, he was her teacher. But instead of taking her home, Abdul Malik drove to his own house. When they arrived, he introduced Hanifa to his wife and lied, telling her that Hanifa was the daughter of a colleague who had traveled to Saudi Arabia and left the child in his care. His wife believed him. Meanwhile, Hanifa's parents searched desperately through the night. Neighbors joined. The community was restless. Shockingly, during this time, Abdul Malik even went to Hanifa's home. He sat with her grieving parents, prayed for her safe return, and pretended to share in their pain, all while knowing exactly where she was. 2 days later, Abdul Malik began sending text messages to Hanifa's mother. He demanded 6 million naira for her release. His texts were cold and calculated, designed to exploit a desperate mother's love. But even as those messages came, Hanifa was already dead. Abdul Malik had poisoned her. He later called his accomplice, Hashim Isiaku, to help bury her small body. Together they dug a shallow grave inside Noble Kids Academy, her own school, where she once learned. This is really horrific. And for his role in this horrific act, Hashim was paid just 1,000 naira. Yes, you heard that right. Alhaji Ali Yume Borno and Clement Isong 1,000 naira. The very man trusted to educate Hanifa not only abducted her, but had the audacity to sit in her parents' home, pray for her safety, text her mother for ransom, and then bury her in the same place she once came to learn. Only a monster could do such a thing. When Abdul Malik Tanko was first arrested, his calmness was chilling. In police custody, he confessed easily. No hesitation, no voice trembling. His words were cold and factual, as if he was explaining something ordinary. No tears, no remorse, just a chilling admission of how he poisoned 5-year-old Hanifa and buried her in the same school he once ran. But later, during a court appearance, as journalists surrounded him and cameras rolled, Abdul Malik broke down. He cried openly as the press questioned him. His voice cracked as he admitted that he had destroyed his own life with his own hands. He begged Hanifa's parents for forgiveness, saying he felt truly remorseful for what he had done. And yet, we are left to ask, was this genuine remorse, or was it the fear of death closing in? Because forgiveness doesn't bring back Hanifa, and no amount of regret can erase the pain he caused. This is the hardest part of her story. Evil doesn't always look like a stranger in the dark. Sometimes it's someone you trust, crying in front of cameras, only after it's too late. When the truth of Hanifa Abubakar's murder became public, Nigeria erupted. Hashtags flooded social media. Hashtag Justice for Hanifa. Protesters filled the streets of Kano, holding placards and demanding justice for the little girl whose life was stolen. Parents across the country were shaking. If a trusted teacher could do this, who could they trust? Hanifa's story became more than just a crime. It became a national outcry for accountability. In July 2022, justice was delivered. Abdul Malik Tanko was sentenced to death by hanging. His accomplice, Hashim Isiaku, was also sentenced to death by hanging for his role in burying Hanifa's body. Even now, Hanifa's story stands as a painful reminder of how trust can be broken and how deeply it hurts when it is betrayed. Hanifa's murder didn't just break hearts, it forced action. The entire nation was outraged, and Kano State felt the pressure to act. In the weeks that followed, the Kano State government ordered the immediate closure of all private schools across the state. Authority inspected schools, reviewed ownership documents, and tightened regulations to ensure that institutions entrusted with children's education were truly safe. Parents demanded answers. Communities called for stricter background checks on school proprietors and teachers. Government vowed to reform its oversight of private schools, but for many, it was too late. Hanifa's case had already exposed a dangerous gap in trust and accountability. Even today, her story remains a symbol of why child safety cannot be taken lightly. Hanifa's story is more than a crime. It is a warning. It reminds us that trust must be earned and safeguarded. Parents must remain vigilant. Communities must watch out for one another. And governments must protect the vulnerable. Because it wasn't only Abdul Malik who failed Hanifa. The system did too. We all face hardship, but no excuse justifies taking an innocent life. This is why self-control and morality are what separate us from becoming monsters. Hanifa's name will live on, not just as a victim, but as a lesson to us all. May her story change how we protect our children. And most importantly, may Allah grant Hanifa Jannah. Amen. Hanifa Abubakar's story will never be forgotten. She was just a child, 5 years old, bright, innocent, loved. Her life was taken too soon, but her story has left a mark on all of us. Let this not just be another tragedy we scroll past. Share her story, talk about her, keep her memory alive so that no other child has to suffer the same fate. May Allah give her parents the strength to heal. Amen. Justice has been served, but her story must continue to teach, to warn, and to change lives. We are not just telling stories. We are reminding ourselves to be careful out there, because sometimes danger wears a familiar face. Stay aware, stay safe, and subscribe for more real stories, the kind that must be told. My name is Fatima Idris, and this is True Crime by Fati Idi. Thanks for watching.